As you already know, my name is Maria Victoria Pardo. Today I'm going to present the CLEC. For this work, I was in a team with Professor Antonio Tamayo, who is also here right now. I work also with Manuel Alejandro Gómez and Nicolás Alberto Henao from Universidad de Antioquia, and I belong to Universidad del Norte at this very moment. First of all, I want to acknowledge several people, the UCREL team, for the opportunity to present this work here. Also, thanks to TNT, which is the Translation and New Technologies from a group from Universidad de Antioquia. And thank you to Universidad del Norte for allowing me the collection of the data. And this research reporter here was supported by Colciencias Scholarship. Okay. The objective of this presentation is to introduce the CLEC, which is the Colombian Learner English Corpus, to the research community. In order to achieve this goal, I will to introduce my agenda. First, the background information about this project. Then the research problem and the question, the stages followed in order to do the compilation of the learner corpus, the error tagging and corpus alignment, and I will talk also about the development of the CLEC application, which is the main part in this presentation. And then I will present some conclusions about this work. Regarding the background information, when student wants to learn a second language, they usually look for a B2 level. According to the European framework of reference, in this level, students can watch movies, they can have a conversation, they can read and write reports, they can talk to native speakers without creating tension. During this process, it is normal for the learner to make many mistakes. However, the worrying issue is that in some cases, despite they reach advanced levels, there are some errors that are repetitive, even though they are in advanced levels. The problem and the research question. The problem in general is the recurrent errors that prevail from basic to advanced levels in the written production of English as a foreign language of college students. And the research question is what persistent errors in the written production of college students at Universidad del Norte in Barranquilla, Colombia. The rationale of the CLEC, which is an app, is that after compiling the corpus, it was necessary to create a tool that is available to the academic research community that allow in a systematic way, the search for information within the label corpus, and automatically gives additionally gives the possibility to make queries with different filters in the data. So that's what I'm going to show you today. First of all, I would like to refer to previous work. I will refer first to the International Corpus of Learner English, the ICLE from Louvain University. I will talk also about the non-native Spanish Corpus of English, which is the NOS. The IGNALI corpus that I just learned about it. I didn't know about this corpus, but it's very interesting, the work they did. And I also talk about the Santiago University Learner Corpus, CLEC. I will refer to basically to the first three corpus here in order to compare a little bit what I did with this corpus. The International Corpus of Learner English is considered a pioneer in the field of apprentice corpus. It has approximately 3.7 million words from written production of 16-year-old learners of different mother tongues. They include in Spanish too. To have access to this corpus, you must purchase a CD that contains the collection of text as well as a desktop software to carry out searches and do analysis on this. On the other hand, the NOS, which is the non-native Spanish corpus of English, it has approximately 1,000 argumentative texts of students at Universidad de Granada and at the University of Jaén. This corpus was error tagged, and they're using the system of called ears. Apparently, this corpus had a web interface for consultation, allowing filtering by subject, type of text, and parameters, but currently is not accessible. The other corpus I will refer to is the IGNALI, which is it's a Corpus International of Asian Learners. This corpus has more than 10,000 topic control speeches. It's available to download to use in offline corpus query programs. This is also very interesting because it's really available. So that's something that I can compare with my corpus that is also available in order to do research. I will start talking about the steps that I followed in order to collect the corpus. This corpus, the CLEC, has a total of 515 written compositions. There are, from these compositions, 386 were handwritten texts that were done during class time, and 129 were done in digital version. They were done in the laboratory. The difference here is that when we collected this corpus, some students in the final work, they were doing that during class, so they didn't have access to the computers. That's why it was handwritten. And the other part is because they were in the laboratory, so that's why they could do that in the digital version. After they were in Word format, all the texts, they were transcribed into TXT format to start the tagging process. The corpus was labeled using the error tagger from Louvain University. After the corpus was aligned using the data extraction for software Wordsmith and Langsbox. And after we did the exploratory analysis of the data. Here we have, we can observe that there is a text that was handwritten, is the same text then in the digital version. In those cases, the files were double checked in order to make sure that they were exactly as the original, because one of the problems that we could have is that the transcribers in some cases were students of languages and they tend to do corrections. So we need to make sure that what was in the handwritten text was exactly the same as in the digital version. Okay, I continue with the process of the tagging of errors. Each error was detected and the label was placed just before the error, and the correction followed the error between $2 signs. So we can see here an example. I'm showing you here an example. This is one of the errors. Nowadays, we have seen, so here is the tag of error in between parentheses. And it says, we have seen difference, which is a pluralization of an adjective. And the correction is between the $2 signs. All errors were manually tagged because there are no automatic error taggers. As you know, there are sometimes, maybe you can do some automatic corrections in articles or other type of errors, but in general, we don't have any automatic error tagger. So it's very time consuming because you have to check one by one. The tagger just has the error categories, as I mentioned, and the error types, but the only way to label errors is manually. That's the only way, there is no other way. So the tagger has the error categories, and like, for example, in this case, the error category is grammar, and this is the type of error which is defined as ADJ, which is adjective, and is defined a type of error in the number of the adjective. So you have to look for the right error in order to label it. In total, we label 14,631 errors in the corpus. I will show a little bit of the process followed with the files. After the handwritten files were in MS Word, in MS Word format, they were converted into TXT files, because that's the only way that you can do the labeling of errors, and in order to work with the software that we do all the processes that we have to do. We observe here the TXT file that then was tagged with error. So in the first part here, we see the file in TXT, and here we can see the same file, but now with the tagging of errors. I will show you a closer view now, so we can see it better. In this case, we can observe here the same file with all the error tags, and that's the way it looks when we label it. You can see here the same error difference and the correction here. For example, in this case, it's an error in the use of the article. So it's defined also as a grammar error. So the category in this case and in this case is the same, and it's affecting the article. And the correction is in here. In this case, it's a 0. Why? Because the student is saying because the people don't take care. So in this case, it is not necessary. So people don't take care, and they continue. So that's basically, and you can see that here there are more tags and more errors and more corrections too. Okay, I will talk now about the alignment process. For the alignment process, all texts were aligned according to the error tags using Wordsmith and Langsbox software of Lancaster University. How I use Wordsmith and how I use Langsbox. Okay, I use Langsbox in order to have more detail about every type of errors. And I use the Wordsmith software in order to have the total statistics of errors, because I didn't find a way. I don't know if maybe you know better, but I didn't find a way to count all types of errors, because it only allowed me to count one tag every time. So that's why I had to use both of them. But the detail that Langsbox gave me was really fantastic. So that's why I decided to continue using it too. So all errors were extracted and according to their categories, and we aligned them. We put them in Excel and in order to analyze those statistics. I will show you some of the corpus metadata. The medium is written production, as you already know. Students belong to different university majors. We have engineers, architects, musicians in every class. Those students, they have their majors, but they need to learn English because it's a requisite before they graduate. The courses are 64 hours with an intensity of 4 hours per week for 16 weeks. So it means that every course lasts for 1 semester. The native language of all learners is Spanish. The target language is English. The genre of text is a combination of genres between opinion paragraphs on different topics and argumentative essays. In the basic level, which is B1, they have paragraphs giving opinion about different topics. And in the advanced levels is when they do the argumentative essay. The tokens per text at level B1 is a maximum of 200, and at level B2 is up to 700 tokens. The type of corpus is a local corpus that seeks to identify the needs and failures of learners. The data compilation was done during the second semester of 2015. The incidence analysis was done by calculating the percentage of errors per every 100 tokens in order to guarantee the proportionality of the analysis. The corpus characteristics in general are 149,321 tokens, to 12,164 types, and 12,333 lemmas. Okay, now I will refer to all the creation of the application CLEC. The CLEC is an application, as I mentioned before, it compiles 515 written composition of students of English as a foreign language at university level. It searches for information in the tag data. It does the filtration of error labels. It allows finding the trend of errors of learners. On a first stage, this app was created with the Python programming language with Django framework. But for the second stage, the CLEC was remodeled and rebuilt. So we have two stages here in which at the beginning, we started with more basic components, but then it was migrated to a better technology, and that's what we have right now. The back end was added through the API REST. I will talk about the methodology that we followed to do this project, this app. As mentioned before, there was a previous development using Django that uses the Python language. The team decided that the new application should allow the consulting to comply with the CRUD concept. The CRUD concept is create, read, update, and delete. In order to achieve the scalability process, the group also developed an analysis of the architecture and technology. It was necessary to include a different framework, front end, to carry out the customer relationships, because that's one of the problems that we had with the first stage. In the first stage, the application already had both necessary layers, the front end and the back end, and the team decided to migrate all the development to a new technology where these responsibilities could be separated and that they were not codependent. The team developed an alternative for a backend in Node.js together with the Express.js. For the construction of an API REST and a front end in the technology based on JavaScript. The development was done for the back end and React for the front end. Since, as you know, these technologies have better support and guarantee a better response to problems that could arise during the development. So that's basically what we did with the technology part. The data persistent layer maintains the database management system, the DBMS, MongoDB. So this management system is document-oriented, and the reason is because of the type of text that we have in this corpus. And it allows efficient access if we want to make queries in order to guarantee a good user experience. The model that we use has the following structure. So in this case, we can see that if you go to the corpus, you can find it by labels, by context, by type of error, and with the corrections, as I mentioned before. Now, in a few minutes, I will show you how to access it. Okay, so we go to the next one. After we defined the technologies to use, we decided to start the development of the back end. And we started migrating the previously existing methods of the filter made to search errors. So remember, we had the previous development and then we started to migrate that development into a new technology. We defined additional services to create, read, modify, and delete. In this case, we can do that with context, and we also did the create, read, and delete of errors. So I will explain that in a few minutes, show you how to do that. This version has the full context of errors in two ways: one overview of the context and one as a detailed view of a particular context. So I will show you that too, because you can see errors. For example, the errors from one student, you can observe the whole context from that student, but if you want to go to the detail of one error, you can also see just the sentence with the less context, and you can focus on that error if you want to do so. This is the home page of the CLEC. So this is the way it looks. You can see here that you can go to the corpus if you want to go to the whole corpus, if you want to go to the context, if you want to go to the tags, etc. Okay, now I will present a short video about the CLEC. So I will play it, and if there is any problem, just let me know. After we see the home page, this is what we see. In this case, we have the corpus. And in the corpus, we have the possibility to see, if we want to see all type of errors, we can see all type of errors. In this case, for example, in the second case, we have an error of word order. The student said because the place not is, and then the error is this, and in front of this appears the error corrector because the place is not found. If we go to the context of this, we can see the same error, noise with the correction in front in green, notice, and we see is not from, and the same with all the other types of errors. We're gonna see here the error tags that we have. So these are the error tags. In total, there are 8 categories of errors. We have form, we have grammar, lexicogrammar, lexis, word redundant, punctuation, style, and infelicities. Infelicities are errors that are politically incorrect. So those are errors that have problem of register in general. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the corpus again where we were before. And here you can search also. If you want to search in the complete corpora, you can do so. If not, you can go maybe to the basic level or the intermediate or the advanced level. It depends if you want to look for errors in B1 level or B2 level. Also, there is a possibility to look in all error categories as it is here, or if you don't want to look in all error categories, you can also look just for errors in one of the categories. It could be form, it could be lexis, it could be punctuation, etc. You have also the possibilities to search errors, and you can choose the number of results that you want to see. You have from 10 results to 500 results at the same time. And you also can choose the number of tokens that you want to see at once. If you want, you can also go to the context as I showed you here with one of the students. So maybe we can go, for example, GA, which is a grammar error. And in this case, is an error in the use of the article, because the student said when the tourist visits, and in this case it refers to when tourists visit, or when a tourist visits. It depends on the case. And here we see also the errors in red and the corrections in green. If we go back to context, so we come back here, and we can see that if we want to go for every student, we can do so, or also into the one by one. So in this case, we can see that the type of error is in red, and then the correction in green. This is good because, for example, if we find as researchers, if we find that there is an error that we didn't codify correctly, we can do corrections, because now it has other options in order to do corrections, and I'm going to show you some examples in other slides. Okay.
Okay, we continue with the next slide.
Okay, here. Here I'm showing you again what I was trying to show you in the video, but it didn't scroll down when I click on that. So this is what you see if you want to go to one by one of the options that you have. You have the option to see 5 tokens from or 1 token to all tokens in the whole corpus. Or you have the option also to see the results that you want, from 10 results to all results or 500 results, depending on if you want to have all of them. You can also have the possibility to see the categories of errors. If, for example, you want to focus on one type of error, like form or lexicogrammar or style, etc., you can do just so. You just look for those errors and you can do the analysis of them. Also, if you want to do all types of errors to have from different categories, you can also go for all error categories. The other possibility is that you can do analysis on basic, pre-intermediate, intermediate, or advanced level. Basically, in basic level and pre-intermediate are still B1 level, and intermediate and advanced level are B2 levels. Okay, I continue. Parallel to this process of the app, we tested the operation through Postman, which is a desktop application that allows requests to web services. For the development of the front end, we migrated the existing functionality. Those were the login and the error filtering view. The search filters were grouped by label and type of error, so that's why you can find them that way. All these functionalities were oriented to the use of all users, including an authenticated one. So it means that at the beginning, in the first phase that we have of this project, only authenticated people could enter and do the search. Now everybody can do the search, but there are more advantages for those who have an administrator role. So if you contribute with the data or a corpus, you can have administrator role, and you can have additional components. Like, for example, there is a button for each error that would be if you consider that it was a mistakenly tagged, you can do corrections, you can delete or add a context according to the needs that you could have as a researcher. For example, in this case, it is possible to add errors. With this version, there are new possibilities, and we can do error addition, context modification. We can also remove context. We can also delete errors or add errors. In error addition, for example, what we have here on the screen, if the user has administration privileges and finds an error that was initially that wasn't identified, the researcher can add that error. They say, okay, I will add this error, and you can have the possibility to do so. This is the view when you want to add errors that were not initially identified. The other possibility is to modify context according to the needs of the researchers. For example, if you want to focus on some types of errors, you don't need all the context. You just have to take a look at the part that is interesting for you. That's also possible. The other case, okay, in this case, when you do that, so you update context, and then you're going to have the view that you require. Also, the other possibility is to remove context in case, this is in case that the researcher wants to focus only on some types of error, as I mentioned before. And this is the view that you have. And well, the thing is that it's, you have to be careful in order not to delete context that maybe you need after. The other possibility is to delete errors. If, for example, an error was mistakenly labeled, as I mentioned before, it is possible to delete that error and label it again. What happens is that in some cases, there are some errors that overlap in general. So maybe you consider, no, I typed this type of error in another category, and it's better there. So if you consider that, you can do that too. And that's a good option in case that there was some error in the tagging. Finally, after doing all the modification, it is possible to update the context. You have to be just careful that you did things correctly, because it's going to modify the whole corpus. So to summarize, some of the possibilities that we have are the error addition, context modification. We can also remove context. We can also delete errors. We can also update context. And that's in general what we can do. There are other possibilities maybe that we can add to this app. And now I will refer to the summary of results in this project. Okay, in general, the result of this project is a learner corpus of errors of English as a foreign language, which is, in addition to the current extension, now has the possibility of being easily revised and expanded through the role of system administrator. This new functionality is very useful to enrich the system, and this can be used by linguists, teachers, researchers who want to investigate the interlanguage of students, and if they want to take advantage of the collected corpus to design activities on error analysis. I'm thinking about, for example, activities that which students do analysis of errors, or maybe they do the corrections of errors. So they are more aware about the errors that as native speakers of Spanish they make. So that could be material for students. This corpus is available in the given URL, and is open to any researcher. And if you want to consult it, or if you want to contribute with Learner Corpora, it's also welcome. It's not only for one language, it's also available for several languages. We started with English, but the idea is to open it to more languages. The developed platform was integrated into an additional section of the process that was followed with the previous project, as I mentioned before. We translated the scripts that previously worked for the processing of the existing corpus to create the database. And the development of the backend is different through the API REST. And this allowed tests to be carried out independently of the front end, which is one of the new things that we have. With the help of Postman, for future developers, there is the possibility of have new versions or refactorings of the front end too, which is really good. This is the URL. This application was deployed on the TNT Research Group server, as the URL is this. Okay. And now I will present some of my conclusions, but first of all, I didn't put it here, but one of my conclusions is that doing the tagging of errors manually, it's a very hard work, but it's worth it, because at the end, when you have a corpus that is tagged, it's very easy to do all the work that you want to do, because you can do counting, you can do all the statistics, you can have many things that you can obtain from that. Okay, so it was possible to completely rebuild the CLEC application from its initial version to bring it to a more modern technology. It was also possible to do the construction of a complete, friendly, and secure administration system to manage the data of the treated corpus. Now we have the possibility to have scalability and maintenance in the corpus. There are several advantages thanks to the change in technology and in terms of maintainability of the site. Using React, future development teams will be able to resume the project and add new functionalities. it was possible to reduce the complexity of the entire process for the end user by providing the interface that allows functionalities in a practical way. That was what we were looking for with this app. Now I will show you some of the my credits for the images that I showed here and my references. And thank you very much for your attention. And now, well, I am open to your questions. I will check the chat in order to see if you have any questions.
Okay, so do you have any questions for Maria and her team? So Rafaela, go ahead. You can unmute yourself.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for this presentation, Maria. This was really interesting. And I've got loads of questions, but I'll just ask like
Okay.
a couple. The first one is, well, it's connected to the change of the app, well, how you designed the app and how you changed from Django to API REST. And you've mentioned the fact that this was basically, well, based on the larger possibilities that API REST gave to the actual users. So if I understood it well, API REST enables the users to actually personalize the corpus and the tags and the interface itself. So I was wondering whether there were other elements that made you take this decision, and whether there are some advantages that were available in Django and are not available in API REST anymore.
Okay. Thank you for your question. I will open the. I will ask my partner Antonio, because he's the expert on all the programming and all of that. So he's here and he's supporting me today. So Antonio, if you could please open your microphone and.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes.
can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon for everybody in Europe, and good morning for people in America. And the question is very interesting, and the most important reason to do that was the scalability and the maintainability of the application, because Django and Python are very good programming languages and frameworks, but React for the front end and Node.js for the back end are most used for these cases. And the most important here was the model, was the NoSQL database, was MongoDB. The model was the most important process in this project. But the reason was mainly basically for the scalability and the maintainability of the application for a future development.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Rafaela. Maria, there is a question from Zahid in the chat box. Can you see that?
Give me a second.
What test was conducted to determine B1 or B2 proficiency level?
Oh, I can open the chat. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm just reading your question.
Okay. Could you?
What test was conducted to determine B1 or B2 proficiency level?
Oh yes, the test was the one. Well, here we apply several tests: the IELTS or the other from Europe. I really don't remember the name of the tests, but I think it's with one of the universities in Europe. that the university where I work, they have the tests, and we apply them before they start taking the courses. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Zahid, I think that answered your question. Do you need more elaboration?
I don't remember exactly the test. I think it's in my thesis, but right now I can recall it. I'm sorry.
No worries.
But if you want more information, well, I can send you what I have about it. My email is there, so no problem.
Okay, thank you. Any other question? Yeah, so Zahid just said he or she is going to email you later. Good.
Okay, thank you.
I hope UCREL talks will connect more academia and improve researches.
Yes, I hope so too. That's great.
Yeah, so I also wrote something in the chat box. So I retrieved wrong version of CLEC, and Antonio Tamayo just let me know that it was the previous version. Yeah.
Okay.
Whose interface is more fancy. So another question in the chat box, I'm going to read this for you. It's from Romero Diaz. Is the project an open source, and is there a public repository associated with it? That's the first question. And the second one, will you host corpora from other researchers in your site? Go ahead, Maria.
Oh yes, this is a public and it's open, so any researcher can do research here. And if you want also to bring your data, it is possible, also it's possible to do in several languages. For now, we just have opened this with English, but there is a possibility to continue with other languages too. So yes, it's open.
Yeah, right. I think we have other questions from Saira and Yejin, but I will give the opportunity to Saira first, maybe. Saira, you can unmute yourself.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. Go ahead.
Great. Thank you so much for your really interesting presentation. My question is really one of curiosity. The error tagging, which was so time consuming, how long exactly did that take? Because it just seems like a complete miraculous kind of endeavor. How long did it take and how many people? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for your question. I decided to do it myself because it was, I didn't want to have, like, maybe I considered this a grammar error and another person considered that another type of error. So I wanted to, if I make a mistake, I make it myself. So I decided to do it myself, and I was labeling errors for 1 year, working every morning at least 5 hours. Yes.
Oh my God, that is unbelievable. Congratulations, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Saira. And another question from Yejin. Yejin, you can unmute yourself.
Thank you. Thank you, Maria. That was very interesting talk. I think my question is a follow-up of Saira's question about tagging, error tagging. And I'm looking at the tag set on your website, and one of them is about like infelicities, which concerns, you know, like register problem and political correctness and stylistic problems. Yeah, I find it really interesting to include this in your tag set, and I'm wondering like how you got to include this, and how frequent did you find it was compared to other, you know, lexical or grammatical frequency, grammatical errors, and did you have any issues in tagging this?
Yes, at the beginning, well, basically these categories belong to the tagger that we bought from Louvain University. So those come with all the tags are defined, and you just have to look for those type of errors. So you have to read the manual very carefully before you start tagging errors, because you have to know that that error really belongs to infelicities. But you have to do a careful analysis with all the context and all of that. How frequent was to find those errors, like errors in general, errors of infelicities are quite common in written work from students, because they usually express themselves as they usually do in oral language. So that's why they say, for example, I want to say this, and when they're writing, we tell them, no, okay, so it's not incorrect, but it's better to use I want to do this or that. So those basically are the errors, but in general, when no, there were not so many of them, but yes, there are. Anyway, there are. And also about style, we do more correction of style, because in the advanced level, which is the B2, in which we start correcting that types of errors, because in the basic levels, that's impossible. They are just learning grammar, and they are just learning the basics of the language. So that's why it's a little bit different. Thanks for your question.
Yeah, thank you, Maria.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Eugene. Do we have more questions? We still have like 10 minutes. Rafaela, go ahead.
Thanks. Well, I said at the beginning I had loads of questions, but I don't want to use time. I mean, I want other people to ask questions as well. So I'll just ask one extra. I was wondering whether it's possible for users to share the changes that they make to the corpus. So, for example, tags and errors, or if those changes are just accessible to themselves.
Yes. Do you mean that I open this and I can show how to do that?
Well, no, I was just wondering whether, like, if a user makes some changes to the corpus, can that user share the changes with other users, or are those just personal changes?
Those changes are in the corpus. So if you do the changes as an administrator, they are going to affect the corpus. So they are going to be there. So you decide as a researcher if you want to make them or not.
I see. So, and if I make changes, other people will also get the same changes in their own, well, when they access the corpus themselves, right?
This is an excellent question, and I would ask Antonio to please clarify this part, because I have done changes that I need, but I haven't done any more, and I don't know if it's going to affect. Antonio, could you help us with this question, please?
Antonio, go ahead.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question, please? Because I was writing in the chat.
Yeah, you were busy answering a question in the chat box.
Yes, of course. Well, my question was also a bit not well phrased, but I was wondering whether it is possible for users to share the changes they make to the corpus, or whether those changes just remain in their personal account. So if I make a change to the corpus, is that going to affect all the other users, or is it just my my profile, my account that has that changes?
Okay, of course. No, you need an account. You need an administrator account in order to change the errors or the context. By now, Maria is the administrator of the corpus, but I don't know, in the future maybe another people can collaborate with this.
Because I thought this could be a very good opportunity, for example, to improve, well, when people can collaborate to similar projects, they might, for example, identify further errors or personalize some tags, and that might be beneficial for other researchers as well. So I was wondering whether there was an idea or a project in the future to share changes that users make as well.
Yeah, that ideas are very welcome. And my email is in the chat. And if you are interested in this project, please send me an email, and we could send you credentials or for access to the corpus and collaborate. Mm-hmm.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you for your question. Thank you, Antonio.
Okay.
Yeah, that was interesting idea actually, because how we can crowdsource people to analyze the corpus together.
Yes, yes, that's true.
But I'm sure that we'll still need a lot of improvements on the technology, because that's not going to be as easy as flipping your hand. All right, so do we have more questions? We still have, I think, 1 or 2 short questions. We still have time. Because
yes.
Go ahead. No? Okay, Rafaela is asking question again in the chat box. For you, is it possible to hide error corrections and tags so that the corpus can be used by student in a sort of discovery learning task? Question number 1. Question number 2, how were the tags transcribed? Did you use a specific software? And sorry, too many questions.
No, it's okay. Antonio, this is for you, because I don't know if we can hide those tags in order to take that material for the students.
Well, at this moment, I need to review the model, but I'm not sure. But maybe, yeah, in programming is possible. But I'm not sure at this moment. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. And the second question from Rafaela, how were the texts transcribed? Well, no, we didn't use a software. We just use our hands and our eyes. We don't have software to do that here. So what we did is that we did the transcription of the written text, the handwritten text, and then we checked like 3 times in order to make sure that they were exactly the same as the original. And we have scanned all the originals, so to make sure about that. Yes.
Thanks. That's incredible. Well done.
I see another question, I think.
Yes, from Tanjun. I wonder whether this website is also designed for students to use for language learning.
Antonio, that's for you. It's a website design.
Okay, let me check the question. Sorry, because
So basically, can students use this website for language learning?
Also, for student for language learning.
So maybe from your description now, it is more for research, but I don't know, with several methods or approach, maybe can students use it for language learning?
Oh, maybe there is possible.
Well,
Maria,
sorry.
what do you think about it?
Well, my ideas about that is because I have done that before, and I take, for example, I design activities. I take some of the text, and I tell them, okay, there are 10 errors in this text. You have to find them, and the first to find it get points. I do like games with that, and that's what I usually do with that data. But also a good possibility, I would say, is that when we have the view of the error alignment, we can show them that, and they have to explain why there is an error. So that's another possibility that I think. The website right now is not designed for students, no, but we can do other, well, we can take what we have and work with that. That's what I think.
But it is completely possible.
Oh, yes, 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 it's possible. Yes, because you can open that, you can send the view of that to students, and they can search and they can see what they can do. Yes. Yes.
Right. So it might be at this stage, it depends on the teachers how to process that website, what instructions they give to their students in order to make use of that website for language learning, as you mentioned before, like giving tasks for discovery learning or data-driven learning these days.
Yes, exactly.
And maybe, is there another question? Because I have not question actually, just a little bit comment. So maybe you can use the error in the website to create like, to build multiple choice question automatically, because this corpus is already corrected, right? And there are errors as well. So we can use the database in the error database so that computer can automatically generate wrong questions, wrong answers and one correct answer, and then convert that into a program that can be open on their, I don't know, maybe mobile phone or like applications.
That's an excellent idea. Thank you.
Yeah. And they can send the result to you. You can correct it. It doesn't have to be corrected manually, but maybe you can, or give some commands if the type of they have some questions. I don't know.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Thank you for that idea.
Yeah, I have a lot of ideas actually, but I just don't know how to implement that. Okay, right. So that was an interesting talk. We have 1 more minute to go before we end this session. So I think let's call it a day. Thank you, Maria, for giving the talk. I believe there might be more questions or maybe comments, but we are scheduled only for 1 hour. And if you still have questions or want to discuss something with Maria and her team, maybe you can email her. And I will share my screen now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for everyone.
Thank you, Maria. And Antonio.
Thank you. I really love to be here. I love to be in Lancaster, and thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you. Yeah. Bye.
Okay, so for the next UCREL talk, we will be joined by Rafaela Bottini from Corpus Approach to Social Science Research Group, and the title of her presentation is Measuring Lexical Complexity in L2 Spoken Production. All right, thank you, Maria.
Okay,
Antonio,
thank you.
Their team and everyone in this talk. Really appreciate you all coming here, and see you next week on the upcoming UCREL talks. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.